Hi, I'm Jen Gash from OT Coach and welcome to my Kawa video, my Kawa coaching video. Every now and then I plan to insert some slides, but if that doesn't happen I might just put some words on the screen. I talk a lot, so 10 to 12 minutes is going to be really difficult for me to stick to, but I shall crack on. And I'll also be reading from a screen here, so bear with me if I don't look at you all the time. I'd just like to say that passion for coaching has brought me back to OT very firmly, and something that both coaching and OT hold at the core is helping people to live meaningful lives in which they participate and engage to their fullest. But if you don't know about coaching, coaching is a conversation-based intervention, usually between two people. It's a dialogue that involves deep listening on the coach's part and effective questions. And we're going to look at how questions can be used with Kawa in this video. And coaching is about moving people from where they are now to where they want to be. And I've been a coach since 2005, and I just wish I'd known then what I know now. I think it would have made my journey as an OT a lot easier and much better for my clients, I think. So this video is about coaching style questions in the context of the Kawa model. And I just want to say that we know that when people work things out themselves, when they find meaning and they find answers to solutions and problems, they're much more likely to stick to them, which is why I like to use coaching as a non-directive approach as I can, but I know that that can't always be the case with OT. In coaching, pure coaching, we don't offer a framework or a predetermined model or metaphor, but I really feel that we can weave Kawa principles together with coaching to make a very potent mix. And to me the key is language, and we can introduce river language quite early on in our conversations with people. With language, if we're looking for language hooks, it can be quite easy to start talking about rivers. People say things like things aren't flowing very well at the moment, or life's a bit turbulent, or I feel really blocked, and that gives us great little hooks that we can start asking river-like questions. Things like, life is often said to be like a river. How might that be true for you? And that feels like a big question, doesn't it? And I would just like to say at this point that these questions, as I'm saying to you now, are very different as they would be in the context of a quiet coaching or OT relationship, where you've got space to answer. So I'm banging them out at you, but actually, you know, we'd ask one question and we'd give it space and we'd give deep listening and explore this. So another sorts of things we can use to start exploring this are, how is your life flowing at present? Or, if your life was like a river, what sort of river would it be? Or what sort of twists and turns are there in your river right now? And at this point you can start making a drawing or representation with your client, you know this. So people very naturally start talking about blocks and struggles and challenges when we talk about how life's going. So we can go and explore that with coaching style questions, explore those rocks, those iwa. So how is your river flowing now? What is blocking your river at this moment? Or what is restricting the flow right now? And what else? And what else? And this and what else is a way of getting deeper into the question, because sometimes people will just give you one answer or one word answer, but we want to know is all the rocks, or at least the main ones, not just one rock. So and what else enables us to probe deeper and listen and give our clients space to answer. And what about if rocks in a river are like life's challenges or blocks or obstacles, what would they be for you? And we can explore the rock or the block itself. What does that rock look like to you? How movable is it? What effect does it have on the river? Just being curious about the rock. Curiosity is a coach thing. I'm just curious to know what this rock's like. Now, these questions might not lead you to a neatly defined Kawa concept or model. And that's, in my mind, that's okay, and in my mind that's the best thing for me, because I want my client's interpretation to be paramount. I want this river to be meaningful to them, and I want it to unlock the wisdom and learning they have. So if you want to use Kawa in a very clean, sort of linear way, these questions open up all sorts of different thoughts, so that's fine. I have a particular interest in driftwood. You know, Rubuku, I don't know if you say it right, but the wood that is movable and represents our assets and our liabilities, that they're part of the same thing. Because in coaching, one of the biggest things is about raising self-awareness. So by that I mean I want to learn, what my clients to learn, what gives them joy in life, what makes their hearts sing, what gives them greatest meaning, what are my strengths, my values, my beliefs, what do I do to help myself, what do I do to sabotage myself. And talking about our assets or liabilities being as movable within a river is really helpful. And I just want to focus on that perhaps being a strength, on a strengths-based way for a minute. So the piece of driftwood just as a notion of being a strength for now. I know it can be other things, but I do a lot of strengths work with my coaching clients, and they often do the VIA strengths assessment, which you can see on the screen now, hopefully. And sometimes people have awarenesses about their strengths already, and sometimes, but what they often don't know is how our strengths also can act as a liability. And this really fascinates me, and I'll tell you why in a minute. So here are some coaching style questions to explore this notion of assets and liabilities and strengths. Purely, what do you consider to be your personal strengths? And what else? And what else? What assets do you have that could help you right now? What resources do you currently have? What resources are you not seeing or not noticing? How might your perception of this be unhelpful? Just thinking about your biggest strength for a moment. How might it be unhelpful on occasions? Now, I asked myself that question a lot, because one of my top strengths is creativity, but it's also one of my biggest liabilities. And Kawa led me to understand this, and it was such an important thing. When my creativity is being helpful, I'm coming up with new ideas, I'm tackling things with ease and from different angles, but when my creativity is a liability, I'm unfocused, I've got an overwhelm of ideas, I could become woolly, sometimes sound a little bit wacky, okay. So this is a really important thing, that it's both. We know that this piece of wood can be both. It can be an asset and it can be a liability. And I think that questions can help people understand that. I'd also like to make a stand for the bits of people that they think are unhelpful, liabilities for example. So often people will say, I'm just such a pessimist. And I go, well, tell me the great things about being a pessimist. How could pessimism help you right now? Which usually floors them. But I do enjoy the fact that there are some great things about pessimism or rigidity, all of those things which we might see as a liability. They have great strengths for us. So coming back to the whole river for a moment before we finish, there are coaching style questions which can be used to explore the riverbed, the environment and the context. The broader questions, here's just a few. What do you have around you that is supportive? Or who do you have around you that is supportive? Who impacts on this current situation that might not be particularly helpful? Tell me a bit more about that. How does your work or home space help you or hinder you? Tell me more about that. How do you connect with your wider community? Or what are the drawbacks to seeking support? And there are also questions for moving things towards finding flow and using those spaces between the rocks and planning actions, if you like. So what is flowing well in your life at present, and what else and what else? What has worked for you in the past? What might help now? Tell me about a time when you managed your condition well. What occurs to you as one of the most helpful things you could do to improve the flow? How can you recruit your natural resources and strengths to help you now? One of the things in coaching, or in OT, whatever, is to help people remember what they know works well. So, your intuition. What could you do that would be the most easiest and obvious place to start? How can you remind yourself of the helpful things that you remember today? If you're listening to all of this thinking, God, these are such complicated questions, then I just would like to say that people can answer much more challenging questions than we give them credit for, especially given that in coaching, we're in a very deep listening state and very focused state. So these questions are not, I'm giving them to you out of context. But, perhaps play with them and create an environment where these questions can land and be explored fully. So I hope you enjoyed that. 12 minutes is far too short, and I hope to see you soon.